Welcome back, everyone, to another one-on-one with Jerry Hall. Today's guest is XRP Joe. And I'll tell you why I'm really excited to bring this particular conversation to you. It is in the spirit of this conversation is the reason I started this entire interview show in the first place. There are many interesting people in the community. And to be able to get beyond the Twitter feed and the insights to who they are if they have a particular YouTube channel as they're delivering content, to sit down and really have a conversation and kind of dig behind some of those things really flushes out who that person is. This was a wonderful conversation. I very much enjoyed having Joe in studio and having this conversation. And I think you'll get some insights to Joe that you weren't finding in YouTube and Twitter. So strap in because it's coming at you right now. Joe, man, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. How are things going?
Things are great, Jerry. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor. I've been looking forward to this the whole week.
Oh, well, right on. I as well. You know, it's been a little while since I've had a real community member in the studio with me. A lot of the interviews I've done recently have been with guys from Wall Street, this, that, and the other thing, and all that's wonderful. All that's wonderful. But at the core, it is the community that has helped sustain me emotionally and spiritually for the last 2.5 years, being in something that I absolutely believe in, yet am unprofitable. Like, I'm upside down in my investment, yet I get up every day with a smile because I see the future.
Yes, it's still exciting times, right?
Oh my God. It's incredible.
So many things happening right now.
So you were talking about a video you did with your grandson, and I want to get to that in a minute. But I wanted to tell you what a wonderful job I thought you and your wife did on your XRP moment in time, the stuff that Scott Powell's doing over there on the XRP Army News. And it was such a joy to see how your wife has allowed you to slowly integrate her into this passion that you have. Walk me through that process, because I know for a lot of folks out there, their significant others and partners would rather not participate in this conversation, let alone put money into something that's risky.
It's a very timid space. You know, let's start right there. I was very intimidated by everything when I first started looking at the digital asset space, going, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to figure this out? I've done research on different topics for years. And a lot of people don't know this, probably one of the first times I mentioned this here is I've done research on declassified government documents for a couple of decades. Started off lightly, got very deep there. So knowing how to look into things, I thought, okay, when I get into this space, and I honestly thought, I'm not going to be here for that long. I'm just going to kind of dip my toes in and see what's going on here. And I haven't looked back. There is something happening here that, as many have referred to, is going to be referred to down the road as the fourth industrial revolution. And I was very intimidated by it myself. And so I did the research I started doing, and my wife saw the excitement that I was showing. But I think on top of that, she saw the fact that this is rolling out. You know, there are things trickling out in the news that, you know, the information that she gets through her circles of information, right? That at that time were starting to interlink with what I was talking about, you know, as far as global economic situations, as far as shutdowns causing certain narratives to build up, like cash is dirty. Then we see the coin shortage. The digital asset space was talking about that a little bit before mainstream news. That was already started, you know, to be pushed out. So then it was when she started seeing all of those things kind of come to light. And then it was the fact that we have a trust within our relationship, which every successful relationship is going to have that foundation. It has to start with that. And she's all, you know, we've always, none of us, or neither one of us have ever been the one in our relationship to turn to the other one and go, you can't do that. You know, it's always been, well, what's interesting to you about that? You know, and we've come to conclude, you know, we've come to compromises and had discussions that have come to conclusions about certain things where I thought, hey, maybe this is a good idea. Then we discussed it and we ended up not doing it. It wasn't a fight because, hey, my idea didn't come through, you know. It was, we both have to be comfortable with this. And that's kind of what I wanted to share with other people in the community is this can be a very positive thing within a relationship if it's taken step by step with the consideration of the other person. Because I'm hyped. I mean, I'll admit it. I get so excited. I have to really back off sometimes. I go, okay, hold on. Before I go and just report this to people, you know, and I feel like maybe I've done that a couple times, you know. King Solomon is somebody who's really good at just solid facts. And I kind of want to be an in-between. I want people to have fun when they're around me because that's just, I feel like I bring that wherever I go. But I want to bring solid content too. And so, but I'm sorry, I kind of sidetracked there from the relationship part of it. But yeah, there's that trust, and she trusts me. And then the other part of it was I wanted to encourage others as well as her. She's already getting, you know, somewhat involved. But like I stated in that video, in the Moment in Time video, it's not just our future economy. It's not just our digital assets. I'm building wealth that's going to be around for generations. That means she's going to have to know how to use this system as well. And the sooner, the better. Mm-hmm. I mean, why wait? You know, if we already know where this is going, why are we going to have our loved ones just sitting on the sidelines watching us learn everything while we're not? I mean, I'm sharing it with Jerry. I'm sharing everything I'm learning with Scott, but I'm not going to share it with my wife. Why would I not do that? And that's what I want to encourage people in the community to start doing. Turn to that person that's right next to you too and go, hey, you know, let me send you, download Coinbase. Let me send you $5 in crypto. How easy is that? Right? And then, you know, then my wife's saying, hey, babe, I want to get something. Can you send me some XRP? You know, whatever. I don't spend my XRP that way right now. That'll be done down the road. But just as a way to get people, you know, your loved ones excited about it. My grandson, he's 7. I had him on a video with me. He's going to be here tomorrow. My whole family's coming over. We're going to take family pictures and everything. It's very rare that all 6 of my kids are in one place at one time, so it's great. But when he's here tomorrow, I'm going to download Coinbase on his phone. I'm going to set him up and I'm going to send him some crypto, and just so that he can start getting used to it. But yeah, it's just something I feel is very important.
Well, not to mention the wonderful thing about the little, specifically Coinbase, is that the little guy could start to get his own crypto just by following some of the video tutorials.
Exactly. The compound, the EOS.
All of them.
Yeah.
They're all there.
Yep.
Stellar. I mean, so
yeah.
What a wonderful thing. So I'll tell you, I think that is so incredible that what you're doing. I found very early on that I wanted to participate in this space beyond having a Twitter account, which meant I was going to need to, you know, get into video production. I was going to need to create content. And Jungle Link got me in the door by having me on as a guest. And the guys on the chain did, you know, they were so patient with me, teaching me, this is how you set up a Zoom. This is how you do a recording. This is how you get this free software to do an edit. You know, this is how you make a thumbnail, all that stuff. So thank you.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah. But once you get over that, I knew I wanted to be in the space. And I saw all the examples of what people were doing. You got your digital asset investor and Kevin Cage and Working Money Channel and Moon Lambo and all those guys bringing up information and bringing up news, and Jungle doing commentary on his news, kind of more like an editorial, and Thinking Crypto and Tony kind of bringing a broader stroke to the thing. And I thought to myself, I don't think I'm going to be able to build an audience or really have anything to say by mirroring doing what those guys do. And then it occurred to me, why don't I just share what I'm doing? And what I'm doing doesn't have anything to do with news. What I'm doing is I'm learning and developing financial literacy, because it's through my investments in cryptocurrency that I've opened this rabbit hole of how does money work? How does money work today, really? Once I go down that rabbit hole, I realized how much I don't know. I thought I understood stocks and bonds. No, I didn't. And it's been 2.5 years of deep learning, and I'm still not a master yet, but I'm starting to get to a place where I can develop an investment thesis that is beyond, hey, this sounds good, or common sense says this should work. And it's been really amazing, because I'm finding that my interactions with people in the community, I'm getting the kind of feedback that says, Jerry, you have learned something that is valuable to give. And so I've kind of centered my whole show and my channel is around financial literacy. And a lot of times it's through the lens of cryptocurrency.
Well, and I'm actually so glad you're bringing that up, because it's so important that you do that. Because look, I mean, look at the statistics of the people that win the lottery, how often they go bankrupt. We're about to witness enormous amounts of people getting wealth that they're not going to know how to handle. And there's got to be people out there to help them manage that. You know, you can have wealth, but the most important thing is managing the wealth. Otherwise, you're not going to have it for very long. And so I'm hoping your channel gets out and reaches more people, given that it's that platform, because a lot of us in this community are going to need that guidance. I'm not a financial guru. I'm probably the furthest from a financial wizard that you would find. I found out not that long ago that I am a better investor than I am a trader. I think it's very important to learn the difference between the two and understand where your strengths and weaknesses lie. And you know, one of my weaknesses, and I'll admit it, has been financial management. You know, so I'm going to be watching more of your channel for sure, because I need, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with Crypto Siege.
Sure.
On Wednesdays, he does Wealth Building Wednesdays.
Right on.
And I love watching those live streams too, because again, I don't know as much as I don't know anywhere near what I want to know about how to hang on to my money when we get it.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
Where am I supposed to put my crypto? Cash is supposed to be trash at that time. I don't know. What's it gonna be? You know? I don't necessarily believe the cash is trash narratives either. Fiat is always, in my opinion, going to serve a very important purpose. Will it be paper? Probably not, 20 years from now, but yeah, so it's definitely interesting times.
I'll tell you, the more I learn, the more I understand that there are no blanket statements. There are no broad stroke right or wrong answers. It's about processes. It's about understandings. Something that you have an understanding of today with some study and some reinforcement and some practical application can create a greater understanding. And through a greater understanding, you may tweak, revise, or change the process that you use to get to the understanding that you see it's time to change the process. That's the wonderful thing about this. Now, on my channel, I have a couple of, I have these playlists that I do. So Like our interview today, this is my one-on-one. This is my straight-on interview show that I do. I have one I call Beyond Moon, which is all about investment stuff, whether it be processes or information or technique or history or education. Then I got this thing, I do a live stream every Friday night. And like the last 2 Fridays have been all about preparing yourself as an investor. So being honest, like really assessing yourself, just like if you were a corporation being assessed by somebody who's thinking about investing in your stock. So understanding your personal balance sheet, understanding how you have been managing your own personal balance sheet as if you were a company, right? And then last week, so that was the first week, look at the individual as an investor and how to be a better investor and look at yourself and be honest. Then the next week was about starting to bring in macro factors like understanding demographics, because it's through mechanisms like demographics and trend identification that you can then begin to forecast probable outcomes with some certainty, as opposed to
just a blind guess, like, oh, this looks better.
You know, I think this is going to take off. Okay, why do you think it's going to take off? Well, because 20 people on Twitter said so.
Because I heard it. That's my favorite.
And it may be the right answer, but the whole idea behind all of this is to not be right or wrong, right? But to develop and understand and learn processes that we can not only repeat, but we can teach others. It's not enough to be right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where we really add value is where we can affect and teach others.
Where we can change, where we can change, where we can make a positive change.
When we were on the XRP Army News stream the other night, I really just got really clear that you're the kind of guy I want in my circle. I just like your approach, your level.
Well, thank you.
To it. But I also appreciate your exuberance. So
I love life. I have a great life. I mean, I've got a beautiful wife. I raised 6 awesome kids. I live in the mountains near Yosemite now. I mean, you know, I feed the deer by hand, Jerry. Have you seen my videos on Twitter where I'm feeding Daisy? I named her Daisy. She comes by every once in a while, but there's like literally one night we went out there and there were 13 deer in my driveway. I love it. I love it. So of course I'm exuberant.
That's great, man. Living the dream. And to think that, you know, it can only get better. So, you know, maybe for those of us that haven't gotten exposure to a ton of your content, walk us through how somebody that has kind of a full life already decides to take on and contribute in a major way to your Twitter profile. You created your YouTube channel. What drives somebody who's already got a full life to take on that? Because it opens you up to it opens you up to all kinds of stuff, whether, you know,
yeah, it does.
Intended or unintended.
I'm used to being opened up to stuff after doing research for decades on what some would consider very fringe subjects. My father had an Air Force background, which led me to start getting curious as I was younger about certain things. But I've always had kind of, I guess you'd say, a justice-driven gene. I've always had this, you know, if something out there looks like it needs either attention brought to it, I don't know why I feel like I always have to be one of the people to do that. It might be, I don't know. It might be, you know, just that I need attention, but then again, I don't like attention. I do play and sing music. My wife will get me up in front of people all the time, and I am nervous as hell every single time. So I don't like the spotlight, but I like being part of something important
Huh.
is
Interesting.
probably just the simplest way to explain it. And for some reason, I've always kind of felt like I'm supposed to be where that important thing is happening for whatever reason, whether I'm
Well,
to
I got a
benefit
couple
from it,
questions.
whether I'm to benefit it, I don't know.
Sure. No, I get that. A couple of questions come up for me, and
Uh-huh.
and it's lighthearted, but it's kind of serious. I'm curious.
Sure.
Are we alone in the universe?
We are not.
Are
We
are Homo sapiens the only sentient life on this
sentient life
planet
on
right now?
Earth
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
To the best of my knowledge, no. And we have not
Wow.
been.
See,
Not
that's
been.
interesting to me. I'm not a disbeliever and I'm
Hmm.
not a believer. And the truth of the matter is, I've kind of always, even as a kid, held that just the law of numbers, the law of big numbers,
Oh,
that
sure.
with all those planets out there, there has to be intelligent life. There has to be. How
And
could there not be?
we are billions of years younger than the other life out there. We're on the
Interesting.
outskirts of the universe, so to speak. Okay. And the universe is 13.8, approximately 14 billion years old. The chances of our being the only microorganisms to sprout intelligent life in that 14 billion years, as the universe has been slowly expanding out, right,
Sure.
is just preposterous. It's absolutely absurd to suggest that somehow we were the only ones that made it out of the mud. Um,
Interesting.
now go a little deeper into why in the world would literally every major government on this planet show a serious interest in this issue, in this topic, while the entire time for over 80 years, going on 100 years now, they've told the entire population of Earth that there's really nothing to it. The French, I will say, have been the more open of the major countries. The Sarkozy regime, some years back, was very close to disclosure, but it got shut down, as many of those uh, uh, efforts do.
Sure.
So,
Interesting. That's really
mhm.
interesting. There's a very attractive science fiction-y kind of, element to it. I'm very comfortable in that genre, that milieu.
Mhm.
Um, Once we get beyond that, the truth is my knowledge is it ends. It basically ends at, okay, I've heard about Area 51. There's a very good chance that we're not the only ones. Have we been visited, and therefore, and things happen like, you know a downed alien aircraft?
Mhm.
Sure. Totally possible stuff.
Well, I could show you right now on the
Well, you've got one
FBI
at
is
the house.
very. I can. No, 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 no. But I could show you. I'll send you a link when we get off of here, and it'll take you to the FOIA library, which is the Freedom of Information Act library on the
Okay.
FBI's very own website. And on there is a memo from a field agent from Strategic Air Command, Washington, from the FBI, to the director of the FBI, March 22nd, 1950, I believe. That's J. Edgar Hoover. The FBI building is named after this man, okay? This memo describes in very great detail the saucers that crashed in New Mexico, how many of them there were. In fact, there were 3. Most people are not aware of that. The size of these saucers, the bodies that were in them, how many bodies were in each saucer, and the metallic clothing that they were wearing. And it goes on in the final paragraph to describe how these saucers were downed by a radar dome, as if an interstellar craft is going to be downed by a radio wave bouncing off the skin of the craft. So what that was most likely, and this is just my guess after doing some research in this as well, is if you also look at when Nikola Tesla passed away in the New Yorker hotel, the FBI came in and stole all of the research out of
Oh,
his
of
safe.
course.
In that, he had the death ray, which is a directed energy weapon. They have been targeting and tracking these vehicles for quite some time. In my opinion, again, I'm not there, I'm not targeting, I'm not tracking. So I, just through what I have found through government documents and research, that was most likely a directed energy weapon that they had used to down those vehicles. And also an interesting fact about that, not to take too much time from that, but is that a lot of people don't know this as well, but the reason that there was a visit to Roswell was at that time, I don't know if it's the 109th or the 409th Bomber Squadron. I get little details like that mixed up, but we can look, you can look this up. It was the only atomic bomber squadron on the planet at the time was stationed at Roswell,
Ah,
at the Roswell airfield. And we were already detonating nukes in New York, or New Mexico rather. So there was great concern once we started sending that nuclear signal out. And I think at that time we were getting more visits to that area. Government didn't like it for whatever reason, but yeah, that document's right there on the FBI's website. Right there on the FBI's website.
I'll tell you, I remember this so vividly. I was a kid, younger. I was a younger person in my teens, low teens. And my mom said, she said she was reading the paper and she was reading an account. Jimmy Carter, the president at the time, a sitting president.
He had a sighting, yes.
Had a sighting of a UFO.
Yes. Jimmy Carter had a sighting, absolutely.
Like, wow, the president of then it's got to be. I mean, here I am. Presidents don't lie.
Not since Eisenhower, anyway.
No, fascinating stuff. I have my stepdad down here with me, and although he's never been real vocal about what he thinks about extraterrestrial life, he came up through Vietnam. Matter of fact, he was like the first draft class, so the first national draft into the service to be deployed to Vietnam. He was in it.
Crazy.
And he's had this fascination, almost an obsession, with the Kennedy assassination. And he's read everything, and he's read every ballistic expert's book on it. He's read every historian's book on it. He's read the guys that do the accounts from the doctors that, you know what I mean? He's looked at this thing 6 ways from Sunday.
So what conclusion has he come to, in his opinion?
He doesn't.
Okay.
There are great cases made for so many of either side of whatever spin is being put. Very likely could have been a conspiracy. Very likely it could have been one man alone. Very likely could have had a magic bullet. Very likely could have been 2-shooter. I mean, da.
Well, you send enough conspiracies into the mix, and then it becomes almost impossible to ever get to the bottom of it. And that's where some of these things that are hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
That's how they're so easily. The psychological warfare program, at least in the United States, is very well orchestrated. There's so much stuff out there. When one thing occurs, 1,000 other things will occur that may or may not be legit in any way, shape, or form. But now there's so much out there that it's like a needle in a haystack.
How do you get to the truth?
You don't know. Yeah, you don't even know what you're looking for anymore. And that's one of the many tactics, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, it's one we see being played out over and over and over again in our country's politics, and it's kind of a drag. But anyway, enough about those icky things and more wonderful and the things that kind of bring us all together. It's like, for me, having this opportunity to chat with you and understand that you're a deep thinker. You think about things beyond what is, on the surface. And so I'm curious, walk me through how you found digital assets. And obviously, anybody that creates a YouTube channel and a Twitter handle that have XRP in the name, you have a very strong conviction for one particular asset. So I
Yes.
always find it interesting to hear people's crypto journey. So walk me through how XRP Joe was created.
Okay. I've always, well, not always, but for a few years now, I've meditated. I've done research on different things regarding the heart's magnetic field and the indigenous cultures, beliefs that were related to that. And I was watching a series of videos called London Real, a guy
Mhm.
named Brian, forget his last name. Great series of videos though, and there's always a lot of motivational type people on there. But it's a wide range of different people from um, he'll have a meditative yogi on there, and then another time he'll have this Wall Street tycoon on there, and one time he had Tika Tiwari on there. I had never heard of the guy before, and he was talking about the 5 coins to $5 million and some Palm Beach confidential thing that you can buy into to get the information from that. And I was like, well, I'm not going to buy anybody's information. I do enough of that when I buy Tide detergent after watching the stupid commercial. I bought into it already, But so what raised my curiosity though was you can't do that in the stock market. So what the heck is this guy even talking about? Right? And then I started looking at the digital asset space, and it made me think back, oh my gosh, when my son was 15, he was a sophomore in high school. He told me about Bitcoin. And I remember telling him, "Oh, that's computer money. That's a joke." That it's like it's Super Mario Brothers coins. It's little gold coins in Super Mario Brothers. I don't want any of those, And that whole thing came and went and blew my mind. And so when the Tika Tiwari video ran back across me again, I went, wait a second. That Bitcoin thing that came and went that I watched fly by after my son told me about it, that didn't just crash and go away, because I was thinking, yeah, when it hit its all-time high, I thought, and then I knew it came back down. So I thought, yeah, those, everybody, oh, a bunch of people made money, but everybody else just got screwed is what I was thinking. And then, a couple of years later, here it is again, still around. So I started doing my research on just the whole asset class itself. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's 3,000 of these coins. How am I going to look at all of these? And so obviously, you look at the top 20, whittle down until you find your top 10. And my top 10 didn't end up being the actual top 10.
Sure.
There were some down there near the 20 that were still looking pretty to me. And so as I whittled down further away, I whittled all of this moldy crud away and found this little nugget, this little gold nugget was sitting in the middle of this mud clump. And it was XRP. And I knew it was a little nugget at the time because it was the only one out of all of those top 20 that I looked at that had a company behind it that had guys in suits that looked serious. I mean, they were, and I'm joking about the guys in suits thing, but the infrastructure that this company was putting together, the partnerships that they were making, and with who they were making, right? That's another thing I was looking at. Okay, they got 500 partners. Okay, but it's Joe Schmo and Scott and Jerry and it's but no, it's huge institutions, people that are moving billions of dollars around this planet every single day. And Ripple was serious about it. And so I got serious about Ripple. And then once I started getting serious about looking into Ripple, for me at this point, it's really more about investing in the people than the company itself. I'm trying to watch now, what is Brad Garlinghouse saying? What is he really saying? How is he saying it? Why would he be saying it like that, right? And then you start looking at Ashish Birla and all of these other folks within the organization that are very smart, very talented, very driven, very precise in what they say. Ripple employees do not go saying things. It's almost like they're running it by Ripple before they go and say things, because not too many of them have said anything that I've looked at and went, what? But, you know, I look at some of these other assets and some of the folks in charge of those assets, or in charge of making those assets successful, and the business practices, you know, you see these pump and dumps, these little weird things that are happening. I really like the fact that Ripple has been also the most forthcoming with everything that they do. And I say everything, it's not everything, obviously, because there's non-disclosure agreements, you know, there has to be coordination to things like this, you know, things of this scale. And I understand that, you know, they're not going to be open with everything. Nobody ever is when it comes to something like this, but they have been the most translucent of all the digital asset companies, all of the blockchain infrastructure companies that I've seen. So I trust where my money's at right now. I think I've made the right decision looking at the use cases of Ripple's XRP, looking at the partnerships, and looking at the fact that I haven't invested more than I'm willing to lose. And so I ended up as XRP Joe because I'm going to have XRP for a very long time, in my opinion. And I'm going to be Joe for a very long time. So they just both went together really well. so, you know, I did, you know, after I made the channel and I thought, you know, there's these other assets out there, and I cover a little bit about VeChain. I am diversified. I'll tell everybody out there, I love what Ripple does. I don't love Ripple. I don't love XRP because they're entities, right? I love people, right? But I love what Ripple does. I love what XRP is meant for. If I'm wrong in the end, I'm all right, but I'm diversified. I hold probably 7 different digital assets. So if XRP is not the one, I have XLM too. You know, I have almost as much XLM as I have XRP. I'm so bullish on XRP. The percentage rate that it went up the last bull run compared to the other cryptos, like, really? And that was just FOMO. That was not everybody kicking on the gears and saying, all right, let's run this through our corridors now, and let's make our customers happy now.
Yeah.
Which it's going to be used. How is XRP not going to be used? Somebody out there, please tell me.
Right.
A logical reason why it's not going to be used. Okay, where was I? Sorry.
I got derailed. You had gotten through the basically, in a nutshell, you came to the same conclusions I came to, that in this kind of nascent digital asset environment, Ripple was a company of adults who created a product for the adult world, and were the only ones backing up not only their stated intention and mission statement, but actually providing back-end market reports every quarter. This is what we're doing with our assets. Okay, you guys are concerned about the concentration of the asset with one entity. No problem. We have this legally binding escrow that'll time release this much every month. You can count on it. There's nothing anybody can do to change it. So,
and I've seen one or I'm sorry. I've seen 1 or 2 Twitter members come out, community members come out with a concern, and Ripple is always right there addressing the concern. This is, you know, this is what our intentions are. This is, so I just love it. And like you said, it's a company of adults.
I'll tell you the one thing, and this never got answered for me by anybody, and that is with the MoneyGram deal. If MoneyGram was using, or for that matter, anybody currently using ODL in a corridor that is existing now, that not trying to start a new corridor, but in an existing corridor, why they're not ramping up. Why they don't go from 10 to 11 to 12 to 13 to 14%, 15, 6. There's a disconnect for me. It's one thing to read and say, and somebody, a customer says, we're saving 50% by using XRP in this corridor. Okay, that's great. Is it 100% of your flows? No. How much is it? It's about 10% of our flows. Why aren't you increasing those flows?
Yeah. Why aren't we making it better? Why aren't we moving forward? Why have we stopped?
That question's never been answered.
I think
I wish it would, because it would explain a lot of things to me.
I don't think it's gonna be answered. I think it's one of those unacknowledged special access project type things where, I mean, because United States is one of the few places where regulation is not very clear in crypto. I mean, we're looking at the UK, Singapore, all of these very crypto friendly places. Why are they not using XRP right now?
Well, starting a new corridor is a Herculean effort. I totally get that. But we need regulatory clarity response to my question never held any water for me, because if 10% of your flow is not against the law,
then why would 100% be?
How could 12% or 14 or 20 or 25 or 30 or,
Yeah.
So until that, till that
and
date,
MoneyGram's CEO did not address any concerns with the corridors that they had running. So there was a testing phase that I was assuming was going to be very short. And like you're saying, what's going on? Where's the expansion and why?
And I love, one of the things that I love about folks like you, Joe, is that you can believe in something and see a vision, but you don't follow blindly.
Oh, can't. You hit walls that way.
I think it behooves all of us, whether it's an investment in XRP or an investment in gold or Apple, it doesn't matter what it is, an investment in a future spouse. Don't be afraid to ask hard, icky, uncomfortable questions. I can be an avid XRP bull and still be critical of certain elements that I see are not holding water.
Yeah, in fact, I found it unfortunate that there was one member that had brought up a concern about the ledger, and this person was bashed on Twitter. And I was like, now wait a second, hold on. Why are we just going to report the rainbow and sunshine?
Yeah, exactly.
If there are rain clouds, I want to know about it so I can get the umbrella out and we can fix this. It's kind of a really, that's the hypey mentality that I really try and make sure, because of how excited I get where this is going. I have to put myself in check. I wake up every day and I put myself in check. Joe.
You're out, Joe.
Be
right
real.
on.
Be real.
So I'm looking at the clock. And there's pressing business next door for me that I need to get to.
Yes, there is.
I want to say thank you so very much for joining me on this one-on-one, and I want to invite you to come to my channel on a live stream some Friday night, because I think it would be fun to get you and another open-minded guy, maybe a Cardano bull together, because those are some of my favorite projects. Is really XRP, Cardano, Bitcoin, and V are my favorite projects on the board. They're the ones that
I would love to
invested into. Yeah, because you're a great conversation.
Well, thank you. You too. This has been so fun. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And yes, I would love to do another interview.
Excellent. So folks, there it was. Our XRP community's very own XRP Joe, hanging out just on the edge of Yosemite, in between massive amounts of research and, of course, hand feeding the deer.
Daisy.
And me from Costa Rica. Until next time, folks, Pura Vida.